Hi, I'm Candace Minster. I'm the Garden and Fiber Projects Coordinator for White Violet Center, and today I'm going to show you how to make sauerkraut. It's really easy. All you need to have is some cabbage. I have a green cabbage here. You need a jar to put the sauerkraut into, and you need some salt. You can use pretty much any salt that you want. I have a pink Himalayan sea salt here. Now, when you get your cabbage, you don't have to do anything too fancy to it. I like to keep the outermost layers of the leaves, and I pull those aside and I set them off to the side because we're going to use those in just a moment. And then now you just cut it up. So you can cut it up however you'd like. I usually cut mine into quarters because then I can see the core, which is a little tough, and it's easy to cut that right on out, set it aside, and then chop. So when I first learned how to make sauerkraut, the person who told me how to do it told me dime thickness, which I spent a lot of time trying to get. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do it. You can make it thick, you can make it thin, you can experiment and see whatever floats your boat and makes you feel happy. The goal is just to get it cut up, just like this. Now you're gonna add it to a mixing bowl. This is some I already have. And then we're gonna add our salt. So the amount of salt you add is kind of up to your taste. For a whole head of cabbage, usually I would use about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. Just taste it. If it tastes way too salty, then you can add more cabbage to it. If you taste it and it doesn't taste salty enough, just add more salt. So you sprinkle it in, and then here comes the fun part, which is you're gonna squish it all together and massage all the salt into the vegetables. And you don't have to stop at cabbage. You can get creative and add other vegetables like carrots or beets, fennel bulbs. You can even enjoy different kinds of fresh herbs. Toss in some dill, cilantro, parsley. All of these make really great candidates. You want to avoid things like rosemary or even oregano, those woody herbs, because as those ferment, they get kind of medicinal tasting. So, it hasn't taken too long, and what I'm starting to get is a really juicy pile of squished up cabbage, which is exactly what we want. So how do you know when you're done? I like to call it a drip test. So you pick up a handful of the vegetables and you squeeze it in your hands, and if you see a steady supply of drips, you're good to go. So that means that you want to have enough brine, that nice salty liquid, to cover all your vegetables when you put it in your container to ferment. You can use a variety of containers to ferment your sauerkraut, your other vegetables. We're just going to use a standard mason jar because they're nice and cheap and easy to find. I like to use a wide mouth so that I can get my hands in there and shove all my soon-to-be sauerkraut right into the jar. The other thing you want to look out for is to make sure that your jar's clean. So you always want to start out with clean utensils. You don't have to sterilize everything because it's actually all the little good bacteria that are on your hands and on the vegetables that are going to make your sauerkraut. So once you get it in the jar, now we have to pack it down and push those vegetables underneath of the brine. So as I squish, 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 and you can see it starts to get a little bit frothy up at the top, totally normal. And then hopefully you can see that the liquid is rising as I push my hands down on top. And now here's where our leaves come in handy. So you can fold them to shape and cram it in the jar. And this is going to be your follower, is what it's called. So this will essentially be like a little lid that's going to help hold your vegetables down under the brine. You can use, they're called pickle weights, little glass weights that you can fit right into a mason jar, or you can take a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag, fill it with salty water and set it on top just to help weigh those vegetables down. I like to just put a couple of cabbage leaves in there and then use the weight of the lid to help hold everything secure. So you put the lid on and then set it on the counter where it will ferment for anywhere from 7 to 28 days or so. Just taste it repeatedly, and whenever it's as sour as you want it to be, it's done. You can put it in the fridge or you can keep it on your counter and your gut will thank you for it.